All right, I want to talk a little bit about special education and why we don't need to worry about the federal cuts. Most of special education, like every other education that's involved, is local. It's a local government thing. And they are making cuts to the IDEA Act. But the reason why they're doing it is because every single state has their own state laws that have to do with special education. And most of them are above and beyond the IDEA Act. And the IDEA Act has become a duplication that's no longer needed. And if it's no longer needed, then we need to cut it because we're putting money into something that's a duplication to the system. Okay? So, like in my state, they have laws for special needs students, and it's above the laws for IDEA. They have more programs. Like in my state, we have inclusion, which the students are included into the regular classroom. In other states, they do not have inclusion, where they have the students, the autism students are put in a separate classroom, and these are different state laws that they have. In whatever state you are in, they have different laws for your special needs students. I recommend, if you are worried about your special needs education, that you go to your local offices, not the federal, because federal has like 3% to do with education itself, but to your local office and try and reform that way, because federally they do a certain percentage, and it really is not as effective as going to the local government, making sure that you have the right superintendent, making sure you have the right principals, making sure that you have the right governor in place in order to get the best education for your family. If you're in public school, and if you don't, you have other options to be available. We need to understand that you have choices in your education. I homeschooled for a while. I didn't think that my daughter would do very good in an inclusive environment. I thought that she wasn't doing very good. She early on in her life, she was very distracted by other people. So I homeschooled her because I didn't think, because the public school system here is inclusive. They don't take them out to educate them separately. They have them in a classroom, and she gets very distracted with other people. Well, she has progressed past that, and she is better now, and I have her in the public school system, and she's doing very well. So I chose for a while to homeschool her, and now she's in public school system. And if that doesn't work after a while, I will choose to do something else. We have a choice in our education system. That's what's great about America. Now, local government does most of the work with the education system. There's things in the IDEA Act that is duplicate and needs to be cut. I agree with that. It needs to be cut because the local government has taken over as far as what needs to be done with special needs. And the IDEA Act is rather long in the tooth as well. It's the last time it was reformed is 1990, so it's due for a reformation. Okay, President Bush reformed it in 1990, and it was signed into place in 1975. And then prior to 1975, 1974 was when the first Education Act was signed into place in California by Ronald Reagan. Now, all of these I would like to make note of, because people need to understand. All of these, so you don't freak out, all of these were signed in by a Republican representative. Not a Democrat, but a Republican. We have three Republican controlled things. And history would dictate that that's probably a good thing with special education. And I just want to make you aware that it hasn't been the Democrats who have passed these things. It's been Republicans. And if you look in history, it has been the case. It's been the Republicans that do that. Now, I don't know if it's because people have been more proactive during a Republican office, or if it's been the fact that more Republicans pass these things. Time will. That's something that I question. More people are proactive during the time when Republicans, because they freak out because Republicans are in office, or if Republicans are just more more available to sign these things. So these are the questions I ponder myself. Are we more proactive during this time, or is it the thing? Either way, I am thankful for the fact that there is more possibilities for special needs during this time, because history dictates that. And that's what I have to say about that. Don't worry about your special needs education. And if you are worried about it, the best thing to do is to fight locally, because local education is where most of the action is taking place.